In Survivor, there can be rare circumstances where contestants are required to be pulled from the game due to medical emergencies rather than being voted out at Tribal Council. These circumstances are not only terrifying for the castaways who are being taken from the game, as many times these have been described as life-threatening conditions, but also devastating due to the sacrifices these players have to make from their personal life in order to play the game they love and to compete for a life-changing prize. It is an absolutely horrible way to leave the game, but health must come before anything else. This is Analytical Strategy, and today I want to shine some light on some of these castaways who have been put in the unfortunate situation of being a Survivor Medevac and haven't returned since being taken out of the game. We've seen some contestants come back to get the opportunity to play again after leaving, and I believe the following 5 names should also be given that opportunity. So firstly, I'm going to be discussing the very first person to leave the game in Survivor One World, and that is Courtney Moon. To go out of Survivor without really getting the opportunity to even play the game is heartbreaking, with Courtney getting injured on the very first immunity challenge. I was very curious to see how someone like Courtney would have gone in this season, automatically, openly saying to her tribe mates she didn't fit in anywhere on that all-female tribe, potentially due to her life of being a motorcycle repairer. I think her being a bit of an outsider and having a bit of a quirky personality was exactly what One World needed. I don't think she necessarily could have forced her way into Kim's alliance of 5 with Alicia, Sabrina, Chelsea and Kat, but having an additional eccentric character on this season could have only improved it. Courtney unfortunately failed to listen to Jeff's instructions in the challenge, putting her arms to the side and breaking her wrist in multiple places in the process, being the first person to leave the game this season. Being the first boot is one thing, but leaving without even getting your name written down is another, so I think she absolutely deserves a second chance to actually play the game of Survivor. And up next, in a very similar situation, I have Pat Cusack from David vs Goliath, also leaving the game due to medical reasons prior to the Davids being able to go to that first Tribal Council. Now from what I have heard, Pat was basically the sole reason this season was themed as David vs Goliath, due to the adversities he faced throughout his life. Within the first challenge, Pat was extremely energetic and genuinely happy to be there, screaming "David stomps Goliath" once again as Christian finished that slide puzzle in half a millisecond. He later was a driving force back at camp, leading the way to build the shelter, and whilst he may have been a bit abrasive at times in a season with brutal weather, getting that shelter up quickly was essential to his tribe mates having a better experience out there. Ironically, due to these terrible conditions is ultimately what cost him his spot in the game, injuring his back on the boat back from the challenge, which was too severe to keep him alive in the game. Pat and Courtney both didn't get the chance to vote, and both were gone prior to any tribal council happening in the game. Sure, there was a chance they could have both gone home first anyway, but without experiencing it firsthand we will never know if that was truly the case. And given they both gave up so much to be out there, just to injure themselves and leave after 3 days, they deserve the chance to play this game again. And the next Medevac I would like to see play Survivor again is Neil from Survivor Co. Wrong. Neil had a very tough time on this season, not only being removed from the game due to a severe infection, but also being the first person ever to be removed from a jury, due to Michelle cleverly realising how big of a case he would have made for Aubrey to win the game. So Neil started on the Brains tribe, and this ice cream enthusiast had a pretty easy run through to the merge, only having to attend one tribal council, and therefore not really having to get his hands dirty in the process. Not only that, he was in a possession of a hidden immunity idol when he was pulled from the game. It looked as though Aubrey was in trouble that night Neil was pulled, and we could have really seen that idol in play that night to attempt to save her. But due to this life-threatening infection, he became what he believed to be the first member of the jury. Now, it is one thing to get taken out of the game, and still think at least you have a say in who wins that end prize. The jury is the first major milestone for superfans, as they are still involved in the show in some way up until the very end of the game. So for Neil to be removed from the jury as well in addition to this would have just been devastating for him. You could tell even his doctors were saying your life is in danger. If his infection wasn't treated, he still wanted to stay in so badly. So for someone with that much passion for Survivor to not get the chance to complete his journey is a really tough pill to swallow. And for that alone should result in him getting another chance to play Survivor. So up next we have someone who left the game for far more unique medical circumstances than the others the last time he got the chance to play. And that is Terry Dietz from Survivor Second Chance. You could really tell this type of medical evacuation played a much larger role on the contestants than previous evacuations we've seen. When someone is infected or injured right in front of you, you have a high level of confidence they are going to be okay when they get treated. But to be pulled from the game for a family emergency, where everyone is really left in the dark about the status of Terry's son, it really hit home for a lot of contestants. Terry was pulled from the game due to his son Danny requiring a heart transplant, which was thankfully successful, and at the reunion he was doing much better and was growing stronger every single day. It was great to see Terry's game evolve from Panama, starting to get in the swing of the social components that come along with the game of Survivor. And although from Kelly Wentworth kicking him under the bus, he wasn't in a great position in that tribe at that point in time. If he did stay in the game, they probably weren't going to go to tribal before the merge, so who knows how well he could have really gone. I really think Terry will absolutely get an opportunity to come back and play again, potentially even in a blood versus water season with his son, which would be an absolutely amazing turnaround overall. And the final Medevac contestant I would like to see return to the game is the main man Eric Reichenbach from Survivor Caramoan, going from a fan to a favourite. Eric is obviously most well known for his immunity era in Survivor Micronesia, but in Caramoan he was also in that final 5, with his eyes on the prize prior to having to leave the game due to his low blood pressure. Eric has left the game twice, in the same themed season of Fans vs Favourites, in the exact same position of 5th place, both due to really unfortunate circumstances, and probably he was close to the favourite to win in both of these seasons if he does get to the end. It would have been an absolutely amazing character arc if we saw Eric go from the supposed dumb player who gave away immunity and come back to be a fantastic winner who took it all the way to the end. That would have been absolutely amazing. But unfortunately that wasn't the case, with him having to leave for circumstances outside of his control. I would really like to see Eric back, as he is a fantastic character and really an icon within Survivor, and going to see how he would play in today's game. The edit we saw of him in Caramoan was pretty underwhelming, being a relatively invisible player for most of the season, and then it really building up to his evacuation with him losing his mind, climbing trees attempting to get coconuts. Given how weak he was this season, I can understand why he had this type of edit, but that still doesn't deter me from wanting to see him back in action. I would love to see him get the opportunity again in the future, as I would with each of these 5 players I have named. So what do you all think of these Medevac players? Do you think they should get another chance? Please give me your opinions down in the comments. As always, if you are enjoying this content, remember to hit that like button and click subscribe for more videos to come each and every week. This is Analytical Strategy, and we are signing out once again. I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.